I had a question. I want to go around on this. Does anybody here have or previously have had a roster?
Oh God.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when I was, I had, so I didn't really go to college, but when I was 27, I had like what I would consider my party phase. Absolutely. Yeah.
Party phase?
Yeah. I went to like different like BBW parties when I lived in Georgia.
Okay. I got some notes on that, I think.
What's BBW?
That stands for Big Beautiful Woman. It was originally started as a porn category and eventually was co-opted as just like an identifier that some fat women use. I used to. I don't anymore.
They have parties for that?
They do, like for people who are them and people who like them.
Yeah.
Okay. So you had a roster. So what was the size of the roster?
Depended. There was a point where it depended on the situation in the beginning. It was a bit longer, but like when I was living in Georgia at the time, I had my own place.
Were you in Atlanta?
Close. I was like North Metro Atlanta, like right on the outskirts.
Yeah.
But I would go down to different events in the Atlanta area all the time. But I was like, it was during my first breakup. Like I mentioned, me and my ex, we broke up for 9 months. That was during 2019. And
well, so what?
That was like when I first really co-opted, like I mentioned earlier, the get under to get over. It didn't work the first time, so I don't know why I tried it again.
Well, how big was the roster? 2 guys, 3 guys, 4 guys, couple. You said you're bi, right? So maybe a couple girls?
Yeah, I mean, that was when I explored my sexuality.
Yeah.
So I did hook up with a couple girls. But
5 guys?
I would probably say it was anywhere between like
what
2.
Madison, what do you do?
I'm just like getting delusional right now. I haven't had much to eat today.
There's whatever cookies over there.
Thank you.
There's still whatever.
Yeah, I mean there was a few people, but for me it was more like situationship. But I was just kind of like way too casual. I was like doing stuff that I would never do now. I had my moment. I learned
What was your moment? What is your moment?
Well, so some of the parties were like regular parties, but some of them were swinger parties.
Okay.
How was that?
Fun, but problematic. That's the best way to answer it shortly.
Well, how many? Because I in my notes here, I think you mentioned BBW, poly parties, sex parties. How many of these parties would you say you went to? Just a couple, or like regularly? This was over
the span of 6 months. When I was in the thick of it, they had basically parties every other weekend.
Okay, and you would go pretty much every other.
For about at least 4 months, I did.
4 months.
I mean, I didn't always do something at the party.
But you'd go.
But it would depend, like, on if I had invited people I already knew there, or if I met someone. Whatever happened.
At these parties, do people typically just like, will they hook up? Maybe they don't hook up at all, but if they do hook up, is it with just one person, or will they like sleep with like multiple people? Like for example, did you ever hook up with like 2 dudes in a night or 3 dudes in a night?
Yeah.
More?
Yeah.
More?
There's a specific high number for the most I did in one night, but
let's hear it. You got it.
I haven't talked about this stuff in such a long time.
You got it.
I just want to, before I go into this topic, I do want to say this isn't who I currently am.
Totally fine.
I'm talking about a past version of myself that
totally fine.
Would not make these decisions now, but at one night, 10.
Was that like an intentional goal? Like you went in?
No, it actually was kind of accidental. I just like I was very laissez-faire about life at the time, and it was something where I had been like, I felt very repressed, and like my first real relationship lasted 8 years. I had one before that, but it only lasted 5 months. And so at the time, I'm sorry, it would have been about 6, but 6 years.
This was after your 8-year relationship ended, or?
In the middle. So we broke up for 9 months.
Oh.
And then when we got back together and we broke up officially, that was like in 2021.
Okay.
How does that happen? Like honestly, how does that? You just like, I'm depressed. I'm gonna go get involved in a gangbang. Like I don't.
I mean, was I self-actualized in the moment about that? Not really. It was just more like, very repressed childhood. I never really let myself go crazy, and I basically let myself like have my wild fun free, because I was in an environment where I kind of felt like I was not only supported but like really wanted, desired, which I had experienced, obviously, because I've been in a relationship, but not in like that type of casual way. And so I got invited into it by someone, and I didn't know what I was getting into.
It probably kind of felt good though to have that acceptance.
It did, and like
so you come back for
I
it.
met people who like I'm still friends with. Like I met people who
are
from,
they
like,
still
all
in
walks
that
of
scene?
life. Most of them have walked away, because once you're in it for a little bit, you do like start to really not only see the toxicity around you, but within yourself. And it took me going through a couple other things post this experience that made me realize that like I was chasing like a high, like I was using sex in ways that weren't healthy, and like it made me self-reflect. It made me change.
If you could go back now, would you do the same thing?
I've thought about that question a lot. Now, honestly, I think I would, because I am the kind of person that likes to live my life with no regrets, and I believe that everything I've been through, everything I've done, and every decision I've made has led me to who I am at my heart as of today. And while I wish I could have done things better and I could have had better results in certain aspects of my life, I love myself and I love who I am, and I
Sorry, I'm not laughing at you, Brian. Just
and I love how I can turn.
But is it a regret?
And again, that's one of those things where it's a yes, and it's like I don't want to have.
I
regrets,
understand the mindset of
yeah.
I want to live
wish I
as
could have
though
learned
nothing is
lessons in
a
a less
regret.
reckless way. Let's say
Yeah.
that. I wish I could have learned certain lessons in a less reckless way, because I feel like I was reckless. I was recklessly dating. I was recklessly like living. I was at that point in my life, in that situation. That's not how everybody was in those scenes, but that's how I was.
So would you said you would do it again?
I'm the kind of person where like I wouldn't want to go back and change anything about my life, because I want to be who I am.
Well, that's kind of entailed in you would do it again.
You said you would do it again.
Yes.
So I'm just curious, because you said you're not that person anymore.
Yeah.
So where's the nuance in that?
She's not saying that she would do it now. She's saying the person that she has become today, and the reason why she might not choose to do it anymore is because she already had that experience, and she decided it's not something she moves forward with.
And I learned life lessons from it. And that is, I've lived my life being the kind of person that has to learn from my own mistakes and learn from doing things. And I struggle, I feel like, for things to fully click or land until I've experienced them for myself.
Do you think it's a healthy process though so I understand the mindset of saying live without regret, right? You can't dwell on regrets. That's true, right? Eventually people have to move forward from things that they've done, this and that. But is it also though still healthy to have things that you regret? Isn't that how you progress?
Yes, and that's what I'm saying, because like, I mean, do I regret the recklessness? Yes. But yeah, I don't like to dwell on them, and I try to live on the thing of like I don't want to hold shame within regret.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
that's
feel
what
like
I'm trying to say.
the connotation of regret is so negative. Like, why can't it be something like a lesson learned? Like, for instance, I hear what you're saying, and there's definitely things where I'm like, dang, like that probably wasn't the best choice, or if it presented itself right now, I would definitely choose different. But acknowledging that what had happened in the past made me who I am today, made me as strong as I am today, or made me as soft, or whatever the positives were, that had to happen to be who I am today. So I can, probably instead of regret, maybe just respect.
Well, I
respect that it happened.
So this might be like a difference in worldview too, but I think that regrets are necessary for us to move forward in life. And here's what I mean by this.
Okay.
I mean that you should look on some of the things you've done in life in a negative way for yourself and negatively view yourself for having done those things, and that's the only way to reconcile them, to move on from them.
Yeah, we definitely disagree in that, but I also I was raised really religious, and I know that that's part of the religious standpoint, is that sins and
well it's actually kind of, but there is absolution, right? But absolution comes with the confrontation that the thing you did was wrong and it should never be repeated, and you know it was wrong. That's where absolution
for sure,
comes,
but
right?
acknowledging something is wrong and regret are not necessarily the same things.
And
how do you know it's wrong if you don't regret it?
You can look at the outcome of it. You can look at the intention of what your action was. I'm a type of person who believes in positive, negative, and so I'll look at more of the intention of it. And the lesson learned is still going to happen, but I don't need to look at it necessarily as a negative to make it be something that I learned.
But that feels like it's just a way to avoid responsibility.
You say avoid, but I still learn from that.
Yeah, but it's still by saying like there's no real. This is negative, but I don't regret it. This is negative, but it wasn't bad. This is negative.
No one said it wasn't bad. Those are not.
Well, bad's a moral claim, so that's why we said the word bad. So I'll try to use a different word.
Yeah.
Okay, but what you're saying is, I don't regret this thing. There was a negative outcome, and so I'll avoid it in the future. But there's no regret.
Yes.
What I'm saying is that would, from my perspective, stymie the growth. So the way that you grow as a person is to actually focus on the things that you have done which are incorrect.
They could be better.
Otherwise, you can't actually repent for those things in order to move forward in your life.
But there's something to be said about the fact that we're still humans and this is the human experience. We're growing and we're learning.
Yeah,
so there's
going to
be so there's going to be an amount of you're going to make a mistake.
Yep.
For me personally, if I harbor regret, I'm living in the past. I'm living in the present, and me living in the past gives me anxiety. It doesn't allow me to flourish.
That's the point.
So I think what has to happen is you have to come to the position where I regret that decision. I'm doing that I'm just doing that battle within myself, like sussing out what was good about the situation, what was bad, but then after you do all of that work, then you can move on. But when someone asks you about that point in your life where you made that regretful decision, you can discuss with them, this is what I sussed out, this is how I worked through it, and this is how it has led me to where I am right now.
For me, when I think about the word regret, I think about something. But when I think about the word regret, I think about something where I wish this didn't happen.
That's what I was trying to say.
And the problem is that when I say I wish this didn't happen, I don't acknowledge of what I learned from it.
Yeah, but if you no, it's not I wish this didn't happen. It's an acknowledgement.
That's what regret would be.
I did this, and it was.
Yeah, me too. That's my understanding of regret.
I did this, and it was wrong, and that's why I regret it.
Well, I also don't believe in wrong. I believe in positive and negative.
And that's what I said, right? So for me, from my perspective, it looks like a way to avoid responsibility by saying I didn't do anything wrong.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely not. I think that.
But then what you just said, you only believe in positive.
It wasn't
and negative,
about doing something wrong, right? It's like, okay, so let's say, for instance, something I called a regret in my past was I had this big crush on this guy when I was in Mexico on a vacation, and we were underneath the waterfall, and I could have kissed him, and I didn't. And I look back and I regret that I didn't just make that move. I was scared. I regret. And what I took from that is, okay, when I have a moment that I want to do better, I will make that jump. I will not be scared, and I will have the confidence to do it. And I told myself I don't ever want to have regret again because it doesn't feel good to have that sort of thing. And so I would look at it instead as like, okay, that was a moment that I wasn't at this level. I had to learn to become this level, and now I am who I am today.
Yeah, so I think if we're talking, like, if you're talking about a level of regret, it could be scalable. So there could be things could be things that I regret, like maybe I die and say I regret not climbing Mount Everest, right?
Yeah.
But I think that the things that stick in our brain for the things that we regret the most generally coexist with things that we knew we were doing in the time, which was wrong. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And those tend to be the things that we actually dwell on. And
I don't have any of those in my mind. Like when I'm trying to think back, like
you're right, because you only believe in positive and negatives.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Like when I think about something like
But that's why I see it as a shifting.
I could have done something better. I shouldn't have said this or done this. I think, okay, well, you were in a place where clearly you didn't know or you didn't make that assessment. Now you do know. All you can do forward now is make it better. Now, if you don't make it better, then you're not choosing to be living in your most positive aspect, and that will be something we won't necessarily agree on there. But I want to live at my highest vibrational level, which means that I'm going to be positive to people. The energy that I put out, I'm going to expect to receive, which means that genuinely I'm going to not try to do bad things onto others because I know that's going to come back to me tenfold.
Same.
I need to move on just so I can get through my notes here. But let's see. I do want to come back really quick to the whole BBW poly party, sex party thing.
Of course you do.
So tell us, there's a bunch.
I'm not really one to get super salacious on the internet about specifics.
Shoot.
But
He wants an invite, I think.
Oh yeah.
I think that's what's
I do.
He definitely seems to be the type into BBWs.
RSVP.
Just the sex party part.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, they have them for all types of people.
I would actually never go to a sex party.
Never's the long
No matter how attractive the women were, that's
What if it was
degenerate.
like a party just for you, just all Asian petite women with no
just for me? I mean, I could get behind that one.
Well,
I
at
suppose,
that point, that's just an orgy.
I can get behind that, but like if it's like swingers and like, no.
You don't want anybody to watch you.
No, I get all the women to myself. Yeah, I'll take that. Never going to happen, but I'll gladly take it. Okay, so you went to a bunch of these parties over the course of a couple months. Now, when you said you did 10 in a night, would it be like, was it group sex or would it be like one after the other and it was like individual sex? Okay. Good times. Good times.
In a very like vapid physical way, yeah.
Okay. All right. And let's see. Well, the original question was the roster thing, so we're going around the table. Do you have or have you ever? Excuse me. Do you currently have or have you ever had a roster?
No, I'm like disgustingly monoamorous. I get like tunnel vision on the first date, and I'll like delete dating apps if I like someone.
Okay.
So annoying. I am similar, and I'm trying.
What do you mean? How's it annoying?
Knowing that I do that as well. Like I hyper focus. Like I'll tunnel vision someone, which I've actually had to get out of doing because dating.
Okay, just go ahead. Just go ahead.
Oh, sorry. They just say you shouldn't do that, so I've been trying not to.
Roster.
I tend not to have a roster. No.
Okay. What about you?
No.
Please speak into the mic if you can.
No.
And the guys don't need to answer. Whatever.
Of course.
So is that across the board? Yes. Is that what that is?
Well, and I will say I definitely don't feel like my like future / current goals are not roster based. Like, in fact, the people that I've had like situationally, they've fizzled out because I've kind of I'm just not interested in that anymore. I'm looking for like a completely different dating experience. That's just like where I was once at.
Okay, got it. And let me get into some of my notes here finally. So let's see. Okay. You said you had some insane stories to tell us, Rosie. Is this related to the BBW sex swinger groups? Or?
Yeah, I mean, like with the group sex and stuff. Like,
Nick, could you close that door?
But
the rest of the world doesn't need to hear this.
More or less. I mean, it seems like the audience here is pretty not interested in hearing about those types of things.
They might be.
No, this audience.
They might be. They're going to be.
People out there because the door was open.
The people that click on this are going to want to hear.
Close the door.
No, it's just getting cold. That's why.
It's cold.
The young children outside.
Yeah, the young children outside don't need to hear this. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, I just think that I'm trying to think because I probably should have thought this more thoroughly because I was thinking about like I mentioned some of those different dating experiences, but like I mean I met people who I like. During that time, the closest thing I had to a relationship, because I was like extremely emotionally unavailable, was someone that I met through what they called like the vanilla parties, which were like the non-sex parties. And he ended up like going to them and stuff, and we would hook up probably like, a few times a week, I'd say. And like once he and I became more of a thing, I like back down to the parties, and then some stuff started coming up, and I started really understanding like the dynamics of the parties and like how kind of predatory and weird they were set up. And I started waking up to like basically realizing what I was doing, because at the time I was living my life on autopilot, and I was just kind of like yeah whatever, like nothing matters type attitude towards everything. So once I started like thinking things through, and then I was like slowly backing out of the parties, and then something like major like personally in my life happened that had me completely back out of it.
Okay. You said in your notes here that you're currently celibate by choice while on your healing journey. You're no longer casually dating. Yep. How long have you been celibate for?
So the last time I hooked up with someone was in February. Or no, I'm sorry. No, that's wrong. Since June, but that was a kind of like a return thing with
you recycled?
It was like going back to somebody. It wasn't like a new dating experience.
It wasn't a new body. You recycled the body.
Sure, if you want to use that kind of language.
That's what it's called, recycling. If you don't want to add to your body count.
It's not doing it again if you've already done it once with them.
It's like you're recycling a body. Yeah. Okay, all right. No, you don't. You object to that?
Just such a deranged way of looking at like human relationships.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's.
You're talking purely sex.
I feel like it's the
like
least
you're so obsessed with the quantity, you'd
way.
rather just say recycle a body. Like it's just.
That's the terminology. That's the terms you people. You've never.
Who don't fuck,
you've never
voluntarily.
Wait, what?
Like that's just like not like people who like normally
What?
date and see each other aren't using these terms.
It's very like dehumanized.
I've never used that term before.
It's not dehumanizing.
It's like you're studying romance from afar, from like an incel community.
Oh yeah, it's all incels.
What?
How
I didn't
dare
say
they?
all.
How dare? Well, how
This is a
dare
term-
people use
Hold on,
something
did you
that
just-
obviously
Sorry,
applies?
triggered by that word,
This is actually a term.
Wait,
Wait.
Warning
Stop.
right now.
Stop.
They're
This is.
pay picking for him right
Yo,
now.
let me talk, please. This is a term I've actually heard originating from women. Women use this term. Oh, I'm recycling a body so I don't add to
Yes,
my
because
body
of the
count.
pressure of this like obsession to always have a low body count. So I've heard women say too, like I'm recycling bodies so my body count doesn't go
You've
up.
heard it from women too. So why are you saying that it's like this incel community? It's like from men and
I mean, women insults exist.
No, I'm not
That's
talking
not
about women
true.
incels, but
I disagree. I don't think a woman can be an incel.
Yeah.
Why is that? Like genuinely, I'm curious.
Because men
I don't
will
think
men will do anything with two legs.
because
not all men. I didn't say all men.
If any woman was so inclined to get laid, she could, regardless of her personality, regardless of her level of physical attractiveness.
So could a guy.
I guess it's. I think
I
of,
would
like,
agree.
There's
with that.
no. It's if
the belief system.
Well, for
I agree
example,
with
there was a Reddit community dedicated to femcells, women who consider themselves involuntarily celibate, and it like was bombarded with men who were propositioning these women with sex. The reverse is not the case. There's not just women flocking to incel communities to fuck
Here's
these
the
men.
easiest
'Cause
way
they're
to
so
frame it,
hot.
right? If there was a male version of you, he's not having sex at sex parties and having sex with people back in June. It's not going to happen.
You think at sex
I mean,
He's
I
going to go to
disagree
the
with
same
that,
sex
but-
party.
Why would you disagree
He's
with
going
that?
to go to the same
Because-
sex party.
I would say, what I would argue though is that a man who's obese is going to struggle far more when it comes to purely getting sex than a woman who's obese.
That's the point, yeah.
Well, you're not
So-
really an incel. You can go to Nevada and book a prostitute if you want
Well,
to.
but
That would still be involuntarily.
How?
Yeah, because in
that's
that case,
prostitution is not doesn't.
He's
count.
talking about.
Okay, of course.
He's talking about sex between two consenting adults absent money, where you're not paying them for it. That's the point of it.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Because in that
but
case,
also
no.
the
It's like,
difference
oh,
is-
well, I mean, you could just go buy a
But also
prostitute.
the difference
It's
of
like,
what
I
we
think that
want
defeats
is
the
different
purpose,
too.
right?
Like women want the money. I mean,
Wait, what?
will be okay with having
Freudian
money,
something?
and men, like the drive is also very different.
Wait.
Just in general, like
You mean the sex drive?
yeah, like for instance, like a man doesn't necessarily like a man would pay for sex, but a woman won't necessarily have to pay for sex. But there's other things that we might do that will have to like.
That will work for like, intimacy.
Exactly. So
I
it
think
may
that's
not be
the
money.
point. Like when we
might
talk
be
about
something
incels,
else.
like they could book a prostitute, but typically, like you were saying, they're looking for someone who's like enthusiastically consenting to it. So typically, they're not just looking for sex because they could go to a hooker. They're looking for some level of intimacy.
Yeah.
So analogously, femcells, yes, they could be propositioned by those guys on the Reddit, but they're looking for someone who actually cares about them and
Right.
doesn't
But
just see them
comparing-
as a
Exactly.
whole.
This is also a bad presupposition
Yes.
for a different reason. Another reason this is a bad presupposition is they may not be going to a hooker not because they don't want to or they don't just want sex, but because they may have religious convictions or other values which conflict with doing something like that. So
If they have that strong of a
this
religious
is
conviction,
so. Hang
they
on,
shouldn't be
just
so
look,
hell bent on
I'm
being
almost
an incel. They should
almost
be waiting
done.
till
Calm
marriage.
down, Farah, before you start spurg talking and turbo talking. Let me just finish the point.
Everything I'm saying is sound. Just because
Yeah,
I
that's
talk
nice.
fast doesn't
Yeah,
make
wait,
it
let's-
turbo
It'll be
talking.
just as sound when I'm done
Maybe
speaking.
we just got to avoid.
He's
maybe,
just
I
bad
think
at moderate. I'm sorry, I have to
So-
moderate myself.
So anyway, just chill out. I'm almost
Yeah,
done.
chill out, Farah.
Yeah, chill out.
Chill
Farah.
out.
I'm almost
Love it
done.
when they say calm down.
Yeah. So I didn't say calm down. You calm down. So anyway, what I was getting at here was just to say there could be other convictions. There could be other convictions which are here that they adhere to. Now, most popularly, what I see online with people referred to as incels is that their standards are extremely high because they have those religious convictions. They can't find a woman who can meet those standards. Why would they go buy a prostitute if Their religious convictions prevent them from doing it.
You're
That's
saying
voluntary.
he can still be an incel because he can't find a woman who matches his values? That's literally voluntary.
That's voluntary.
That's like me saying I'm an incel because I can't find a guy who's 6 foot, makes $1 million a year, and wants to date me. That's ridiculous.
Exactly.
When you're talking about somebody who is incelibate by choice, would you say then, right? Or I'm sorry,
celibate.
Celibate by choice. If you're just talking, anybody can just go have sex with anybody, right? You can go get a prostitute or this type of thing, okay? Obviously, a person who's going to have sex with another person is going to go for their preferences, right? Isn't that generally what they're going to do?
They don't get to choose if they're paying.
And like we're saying, there's 2 different metrics for male and female preferences, but suddenly you're now using the default as the male preference. So even if he doesn't want to fuck a girl because she has different religious values, why is that different than me saying, even though guys are propositioning me on Reddit, they're not the type of guy I'm looking for, so therefore I can still deem myself a femcel?
Yeah, I'm assuming it both ways. So I assume it on the other way too, that...
So you believe femcels exist?
I'm not.
You just said that you didn't.
Well, I have a different definition of it.
You think femcels exist?
If it's from the religious connotation, yeah.
Just religious.
Well, I have a different.
Yeah, I think
not from the idea of yes, I could fuck this guy, but I won't enjoy it. I won't be attracted to him. It'll feel very
I think that all
uncomfortable.
those things could be true, but it would be from a religious standpoint.
No, but you can have that without being religious.
Yeah, generally speaking, a religious standpoint.
I have feelings like that, and I'm not religious.
So if I'm very unattractive and I can only fuck guys who are like disgusting to me, but that's not for religious reasons that I'm unattracted to them, wouldn't I still be a femcel by your definition?
If you were super ugly, you mean? Like just a super, I mean, I guess.
So you think the person's appearance...
But I'm talking in generalities here. So I'm just saying generally that's what I would fit in that criteria.
Wait, what's your question?
So you think the appearance is the majority factor of whether or not someone is an incel?
Usually for a man, it's more than their appearance. Usually it's the inside.
I think that there could be there's
usually
two categories here. Yeah,
because there's incels that look just like any one of you guys, and they're feeling like they don't have sex, and the reason why is because we're so turned off by their inside, and the first thing that comes out of their mouth, we couldn't possibly fathom doing anything with them.
Yeah.
I'm not clear. Well, okay. There's first off, my sense of what an incel is it's involuntarily celibate. So this is somebody. I would argue that, and maybe Andrew, this is where I disagree. If say you're a Christian man and you're waiting until marriage, I would consider that to be voluntary.
Yeah, I have a hard time with
celibacy.
that because then, would you apply that to SA? So, well, wait a second.
What?
They're involuntary. Why couldn't they just go SA a chick, right? They could do that, and then they wouldn't be involuntarily
that's a false
celibate.
equivalency.
Why?
Because sex and SA are not comparable.
Okay,
no, but what I'm saying is that if it's not
SA?
just a barrier based around personalization, right, and preferences, then you're looking at the same thing from the religious to if you were looking at it from the argument against the religious is, well, no, this is voluntary because you could just go get a prostitute. It's like, well, no, it's involuntary. They want to do it, right, but they have a barrier from doing it, just like the lack of the SA portion would be the same thing, a barrier from doing it. Right?
I genuinely don't think a lion's share of incels are opting out of booking a hooker for religious reasons. I'm pretty sure a large number of porn consumers are incels. So if they were opting out of sex for religious reasons, they wouldn't be like consuming so much porn.
Yeah, so you don't think that people who are heavily religious would like to have sex, that they might have those wants to do?
That's not what involuntary means.
Yeah, I think, but this is where I'm drawing a distinction with you, because if your argument for no, that's not involuntary, it means if you say involuntary, they could just go get a sex worker, then why couldn't I just respond by saying, well, if it's involuntary, why couldn't they just go assault a chick, get the same result?
Well, how would it be involuntary?
Because if I call someone homeless, I'm saying, they could squat somewhere technically illegally, but I would still consider them homeless.
What does that have to do with what I said?
It's an analogy.
Yeah, but how's the analogy apply?
Because doing something unlawfully doesn't now make it sex.
Well, wait a second. Wait, back up. What is it then?
I'm saying if they're an incel...
It's just unlawful sex, right?
My point is, if they're an incel and they're complaining that they just can't get sex, they can book a hooker, but that's typically not what they're looking for.
Yeah, they could also SA a chick.
They're looking for a level of emotional intimacy. That's my point.
But this is what I'm saying. There's a barrier. They're both what you would consider
One's a barrier legally, the other one's legal.
Yeah, but they're both barriers is the point.
I don't think people are opting out of hookers for religious reasons.
Why? You don't think so?
No.
Why?
Well, maybe some are, but I'm saying an incel who's jacking off to porn every day isn't now drawing the line at prostitution.
I've now created two different
religion.
categories of incel for you. I'm saying that one, I believe that both of them are involuntarily
We're talking about the actual incel community, the people on Reddit. We're not talking about your, like,
that is an actual
person who's waiting till marriage to find a godly woman.
Have you ever heard of the tradcasts who self-ID as incels, for instance? The reason that they self-ID as incels is because they say, yeah, sure, we would love to be rolling around and having tons of sex with women, but we don't. Right? Because we have this X belief.
So would he be an incel if he struggles to find a virgin? Like if every single woman at his college has had sex and his standard is he wants to marry another virgin, is he now an incel? No, that's voluntarily celibate because you've set a standard for yourself.
That's actually kind of interesting. I might be getting on board with what you're saying, Andrew. Because so...
I'm not expecting it to go that way.
Not either.
Yeah, well, no, I'm trying to suss this out in my head. And I'm thinking about it like, okay, yeah, so there is a law stating that SA is illegal.
Right.
So... if I'm looking at coming from a biblical framework as a Christian, I determine that the Bible is my foundation for morality and is law in my mind. So just the same way that SA is illegal it's illegal in the Bible, but it's illegal in our society. It is, to co-opt the verbiage, it is illegal in God's mind, in God's eye, to have sex before marriage.
Right.
So I actually kind of agree.
So you can't actually alleviate what you want, even though you want to, because there's this barrier.
But you're choosing to abide by the barrier.
Yeah, but you would be doing the same thing with SA. That's the point.
Because it's a choice.
It's
you
the
choose
choice.
not to.
Does it just end at religious convictions? Can I say female dating strategy tells me I should only fuck guys who make more than me, and because I earn a lot, it's hard to find those guys, therefore I'm a femcel?
Well, the religious
Talking
conviction
really fast doesn't make your arguments better.
It doesn't. My argument's being correct
Your
makes my arguments correct.
What's your argument? I bet you can't even repeat it.
I think I can.
Do it.
I was saying, why are you just drawing the Bible to be akin to law, but why can't I say my preferences could be akin to law too? So suddenly I'm a femcel.
You could, yeah.
Okay, so I'm a femcel because I can't find a guy who makes more money than me in my city.
No, we're saying that you could make two different categories here, right? But you would still have to categorize them. So is it involuntary? I guess what we're really discussing is what do we mean by involuntary? You think that it's voluntary, absent barrier. And so do I, so I don't know what we're arguing.
Okay, so as far as just real quick though, if you have SA, you're going to get a physical repercussion for that.
Let's say you didn't.
You deciding to abide by the Bible, you're not going to get a physical repercussion.
Yeah, but we believe you would.
Yeah, that's the thing.
The point.
Okay, but your belief in actual physical harm happening to you is not the same.
Okay, so what? So
you're not going to go to jail. God is not going to put you in jail.
But you could also let's envision for a second that you knew you could do it and could get away with it and not go to jail. Okay? It would still be a barrier. The absent consent would still be a barrier. And so you wouldn't do it,
The chance
right?
of you actually being able to go to jail versus not are two different very big things.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the point.
How does it not?
Because what I'm saying is let's remove that for a second, that you would
But you're deciding that the Bible is the top thing.
Yes, and you're deciding that the law is the top thing that prevents the SA.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying as far as overall, you can believe in the Bible, that's fine. But no matter what, Bible or not, you still got to respect the law. So you're encompassing.
You don't have to respect the law.
No, as far as like if you're going to be law abiding or even just of any laws.
So your choice is to respect the law.
But everyone has to be under the law. Not everyone has to be under the Bible.
Yeah, but your choice is to respect both. You don't have to respect the law.
You choose to respect the law.
Nothing's stopping you from going through a stop sign. Nothing's stopping you from grabbing that mic and hitting me in the head with it.
But the difference is the repercussions at the end of the day are different.
Yes, there might be that there's that you have a perception. You saying that you have a perception of a repercussion distinction. Fine. We can remove that barrier by saying if we could assume that there was no repercussion for you, would you just start saying people?
There is.
Yeah, but that's not the purpose of explaining this way. The purpose is to show you that even if that barrier was removed, you still wouldn't do it. There is a barrier which is there, whether it's religious or it's legal. These two barriers still very much exist inside of your mind, which is the preventative measure for doing the action.
But okay, so if you sexually assault someone, you're then affecting that person's life. If you abstain for sex because of a religious belief, you're not affecting someone else's life.
What if you were to essay? What if you were to essay a chick who was in a coma, and would never know, and it was impossible for her to get pregnant?
There was a man who was raping a lady in.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't co-sign on it. I think we actually agree.
Right, you wouldn't co-sign on it.
No, it's awful.
Right, that's my whole point.
That's a barrier.
No, I think we agree. I think we agree. I was having a rebuttal to Brian saying that incels exist only for men but never for women because someone will always fuck you. And I was saying, in theory, you could fuck someone as a man, but it's not to these, you know what I mean? There's that barrier there. So I was saying even for women, even though some guys would proposition us on Reddit, you could still be a femcel.
So here's why I would make the two distinct categories. So I think you would agree with this too. So in the distinct category 1 with the men, I think it's much easier for men to be in that one category of incel, right? Whereas for women, it's not very, it would actually be difficult to be in that category. Which on the religious end, I would say that it could be equal. So
well, okay, what about this?
Exists.
What about this? So let's say you have a man and a woman, neither are religious. They're both physically unattractive.
Yeah.
They want to have, they don't care about, they just want to have sex immediately, like that night or whatever, or within a short period of time, say a week. I would argue that almost any woman, if she was so inclined, could get sex, whereas it's not clear to me if any man could just go out and immediately get
I agree. I totally agree.
I agree, but that's typically not what femcel refers to. Like, I don't think femcels are actually arguing I can't fuck anybody. They're saying I can't fuck anybody who would care. Same way those men, in theory, those incels could fuck each other, but they're not going to be attracted to each other and enjoy it.
Hold on, but if the definition of femcel is a female incel,
I actually need you to repeat that.
Why? You didn't hear her?
No, I didn't. She has meth mouth. You got to talk slow so I can understand what you're saying.
The reason I talk so fast is because I keep getting cut off. It's not to try and
I didn't
sound
cut
smart.
you off.
No, I know. I'm just saying in general. But anyways, my point was, yes, a femcel could get sex from anybody.
Okay.
But the point was, men in theory, those incels, they could get sex from each other in theory, but they won't enjoy it.
From each other?
Yes, in theory.
Yeah, he's talking about the opposite sex.
No, I know, but
Wait,
I'm saying
what?
the same way a femcel might not enjoy having sex or even find any like little bit of attraction to the guy who's propositioning her on Reddit, those guys won't enjoy having sex with each other. So that's why I'm saying it's two different metrics.
Ridiculous.
Because
so
male and female sexuality is incredibly different.
Well, so
That's
does
ridiculous.
sex?
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
So let me. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, yeah, I was just about to ask. So, does the act of sex require that there's enjoyment in it?
It doesn't
So okay,
require-
so
I'm
being
saying femcel, I'm
so
saying femcel has a slightly different definition than incel.
I'm not actually sure what that distinction is still.
It's involuntarily celibate, which means no sex, regardless of how you feel about it, if you enjoy it or not. If you're having sex, you're not an incel.
Right.
So
and like
it
I
does.
said, you could
So
find
there's
sex as an incel.
With other...
no. Okay.
With other, no, I meant prostitution.
Okay. So
yeah.
if your goal is to find sex and you are able to find it, that is by definition not celibate, regardless if you enjoy it or not.
Yes, and like I said, you could find it in Nevada, but obviously we're talking about certain barriers, and guys want it from a woman who's maybe enthusiastically consenting, and a woman maybe wants it from a guy who isn't just looking at her as a whole. So that was my only point.
So I don't understand why each one of those criticisms couldn't be applied back. So you say incels could have it with each other. Well, so could femcels.
Yeah.
So I don't understand how the criticisms wouldn't be equal.
It's not equal. Do you agree that femcels exist, even though they could in theory fuck someone? And the same way an incel could in theory fuck someone.
Yeah, I would say by this criteria though, what he's trying to draw is that when he says not exist, right, be the same way that you and I would say something in the commons. Doesn't mean there's none who exist at all on planet Earth, but rather if you make the comparison between the amount of male versus female, it's overwhelmingly going to be male versus female when it comes to this. You would agree with that in that category, right?
I would, but you would also agree that male and females look at sex entirely differently. So when someone says I'm a femcel, you understand that she's not saying nobody will fuck me. She's saying maybe I'm having difficulty finding someone who will fuck me and actually ask me my name.
So okay, but if that's the case, then they have just changed the meaning from how we mean it. So it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I don't think anyone thinks they have identical definitions.
Yeah, I know, but from our definition, you would agree we're correct.
That men have a harder time procuring sex, yes.
Yeah, and that the incel, from our perspective, our definition,
has a way harder time procuring sex.
Okay,
yes.
than the femcel.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with that too.
Okay.
But sex to the same basis of attraction, then I would disagree.
Because it's typical progressive pedantry, and you have to like literally peel back all the layers until you get to where you need to
No, it's not. It's because we're talking about sex we're talking about sex they wouldn't be disgusted by, and like I said, the guys could in theory fuck each other, but they would feel disgusted by that if they're straight, and the femcel could in theory fuck some random like Redditor proposer, but she might not enjoy it. That was my point, Brian.
What was it?
He left, so I had to direct it at you.
Okay. Well, okay, when I think femcel, like I think female incel, because I know there's this definition of femcel where it's like, well, I'm just not finding the right guy that I want to have sex with. And to me, when I think of incel, it's just somebody who wants to have sex, but like can't. there's not all these strings attached to it. There's not all these terms. The guy doesn't have to be some magical unicorn. Like, I'm sure most men who are incels would be happy to have sex with a woman who's even probably below their standards or whatever that might be. So